So today we're going to be sharing some top tips for how you can incorporate practicality and style into your wardrobe. I love thinking about these things, especially at the beginning of a season, because it feels like we really have that opportunity to look at our wardrobe with fresh eyes. We might be already making some changes, doing a wardrobe switchover, and there's just something about that new energy of the season, especially this time of year, like back to school season, springtime if you're here in the Southern Hemisphere with me. And it's just such a great time to really just think about those things that maybe haven't been working out and how we're going to make them better for the season to come. First tip that I wanted to talk about is really when we're thinking about practicality and style, we focus so much on what does style mean to me? What is my aesthetic? Who am I? How am I expressing myself? And really the practicality side seems to be this thing where it's like the ugly sister, like we don't want to think about practicality. It's just that thing that is the constraint that we're trying to navigate around all the time. How are we going to reframe practicality so that it can actually be something inspiring for our style rather than feeling like that's the thing that's constantly holding us back? Let's consider what practicality really means for you. This is really an exercise that's going to be like a personal self-discovery kind of exercise. You can watch so many comparison videos, review videos, hauls, unboxing, fashion, style, inspiration, what have you. But if you're not really focusing on what does it actually mean to me to be practical, what are the things that I need from my clothes in my life, you're never really going to get to that level of practicality for yourself. That makes sense, right? But I think a lot of us get caught up in that trap of this person over here said it's so versatile, it's so practical, it works for their lifestyle. And then we get frustrated when it suddenly does not work for us in our lifestyle. I wonder why. Maybe if we just took a moment to think about what we personally need, we actually might be making slightly better choices. I think because everybody has their own personal lifestyle, their own set of parameters, it's just really important to get incredibly clear on yours and think about if this piece is working, especially for another person, why might that be the case for them? And is that the same reasons that I am looking for practicality? So for somebody else, for example, it might be a pair of jeans that is their favorite, it's their ride or die, it works for them in their lifestyle. Say they like live in a city, they have a casual lifestyle, they're a content creator for a living, for example. And what if their body shape is slightly different to yours? Would it still be practical for you then? What if their lifestyle is urban and your lifestyle is more rural and countryside? Would it still work for you in that situation? What if this color suits their skin tone or their skin intensity or whatever? Would it still work for me? You get what I'm trying to say here. Everybody is making decisions based on, their own parameters, their own ideas. And I think before we had the whole influencer scene, people were just doing this intuitively and automatically. Everybody who is not chronically online is actually already making these choices for themselves, and probably with less like decision fatigue and less, being led down the garden path, because they're not being influenced by other people and other people's lifestyles. They're just asking themselves, is this going to work for me? I'm going to be doing this more so going forward for me, and I'm going to have my list of parameters really, really clearly laid out so that I don't end up being influenced to buy things that actually are not going to work for my lifestyle anymore. Number 2, I think we should do everything that we can to make getting dressed really easy for ourselves. So what I mean by this is everybody has sort of pain points when it comes to getting dressed, and these can be so many and varied. But think about for you, what is it that's causing friction for you in that actual moment of getting dressed? Is it that your clothes aren't, laundered, or your clothes aren't steamed or ironed, or however you want to present yourself? Is it that you really just genuinely are like coming to your wardrobe completely bamboozled every single time, trying to create an outfit from scratch, in which case maybe you need to create some sort of style uniform for yourself with like go-to outfits that you can rely on. There are so many little things that can get in the way of, you know, us putting together an outfit that we're actually happy with at the end of the day. Really, the more friction that we remove from that process of actually putting clothes onto our body, the easier it is to get dressed, and then the more easy it is for us to just have that seamless flow. There's not that friction between, I need to get dressed, I want to look good, what do I wear? Maybe you pre-plan your outfits. Maybe you decide you have a weekly rail and you decide, okay, these are my outfits that I'm wearing like for the whole week, or these are my clothes that I'm going to choose to pick outfits out from for this whole week. Some people like to lay out their outfits the night before. Some people like to have a style uniform, and I will link my video about the style uniform that I've done. So the more streamlined that you can be in this process, the more that it will actually allow creativity to come forward and allow you to seamlessly match sort of the practicality of your lifestyle with your aesthetic, because you're not always scrambling in that moment of actually getting dressed. Number 3, work within a color palette. And I feel like color, even though we talk about this so much, and I think it's one of those like no-brainer tips that a lot of people do talk about, color palette can be so misunderstood as a concept. Some people like to have a very pared back and minimal color palette where everything works together, and that is beautiful and so streamlined and works so well for some people. And if that does not work for you, think about what is the color palette that will. Maybe you have a seasonal color palette where you're inspired to get dressed for the season, for the weather, for the temperatures that are happening right now. Maybe you just know that your skin tone is cooler or warmer. And also just moving past even colors that suit us and colors that we like, if we take the practical into account as well, there are certain colors that are going to be just simply more practical for our lifestyle. Whether that's you wear white because you know you can deal with stains with a stain remover pen, you know you can bleach those clothes, you know you can take care of them by washing all your whites together. Some people find whites incredibly easy to care for because you have bleach, compared to say like a lilac t-shirt where if you got a stain on it, that's the end of the road. Suddenly it's like that t-shirt is dead to me now. But then also darker colors. Maybe you have young children, maybe you're a super messy person or get stains on yourself like me, incredibly clumsy, and like I just need to have clothes that wash really well. And so that is how I choose the color in certain pieces. That's not to say that I never wear color, but I just know if it's going to be, say, in a t-shirt or say in a dress, am I going to have to wear an apron over this when I'm cooking? Is this something that is going to show up stains throughout the day, etc., etc. So you can think about your color palette from the practical standpoint, as well as just which color do I feel like wearing, which color is going to fit my mood, which color is going with my palette and my aesthetic. Number 4, are you putting your personal stamp on every single piece of clothing that you're buying? This is something that I've been thinking about so much recently, because for me personally, I still do get caught up into that trap of I need to get my basics and then I need to get the pieces that are actually more personal to me. And my wardrobe tends to then just lean more and more basic. And there are times that I definitely want less detail, more of a minimal look. However, if you are somebody who is trying to express something other than minimalism, other than being pared back, are you actually trying to put that stamp onto the pieces that you're acquiring, that you're wearing, that you're pairing together? It doesn't always have to be when you're shopping, but I think this is really when it kind of like comes to the forefront more so. If you like things to be unembellished, then yes, you're going to be, going to places like Everlane and looking at their basic t-shirts and choosing out the colors that you like and being really comfortable in those pieces. However, if you're feeling like these pieces are, yes, maybe serving the practical purpose, but they're really not leaning you anywhere towards your personal style words or your personal style feelings or aesthetic or what have you, what are you doing to incorporate your personal style into the basic pieces that you're constantly wearing on repeat? There are ways that you can get really basic and functional pieces that also have a stamp of personality in them. And I will also link my video on statement basics, did I call it? I'll link it somewhere in the cards and also down below. And you know, it's really important to be very honest with yourself about what are you actually looking for, and then allow yourself to purchase those items, to wear those items, and to be the most stylish version of yourself. I think so many of us sort of dress ourselves down or like play down our preferences a little bit in order to be more acceptable to the people around us, or we don't want to stand out too much, or we have this fear of being seen. There's so much that goes on with that. But the more that you're like claiming these tiny details back for yourself, the more that you're really allowing your true self to come out and shine. And I think that's what builds confidence as well, and kind of allows us to view our wardrobe not only as practical on one side, stylish on the other, ding, 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 it's time for them to fight it out and see who wins. Like, there can be a moment where they actually come together in harmony and we can have the best of both worlds. The last thing that I really will say is to be extremely mindful in your scrolling, in your consuming of media, and in your like window shopping and browsing as well. All of this is so inspirational and so good and so fun to do sometimes, but it's also really important to ground that back to the gratitude that you have for your actual life, the gratitude and the joy that you have for everything that you currently have created in your actual life. I think a lot of us spend so much energy looking outwards, seeking outwards. It's incredibly easy to lose yourself and lose your perspective on your own life, your own situation, your own circumstances, especially when so many of us are chronically online. So many of us are always looking outwards for inspiration and ideas for how we should look, how we should behave, how we should carry ourselves through the world. There is nothing wrong with looking outwards and being inspired, but when it gets to that point of that makes you feel less than within your own life, that's when we need to start grounding it back to really understanding that you are living your own one life that you have been given. And so what are you creating within your own life? It's great to be going on Net-a-Porter or like Farfetch and like browsing through all the ball gowns. But if you're living in like a small rural country town and like you don't go to that many balls, like what are you doing looking at those clothing and wishing and wanting this completely other life when you have your own beautiful life right in front of you that you could be enjoying? It's just a simple reframe, but I think it can help us just live with a little bit more grace for ourselves and realize that the life we are living now is just as beautiful as it needs to be. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Those are my top tips for now, and I'm just gonna go and hang out with my kiddos. Hopefully this has been helpful to you guys, and if you have any more tips on how to incorporate practicality and style together, please leave them down below, because we really do need more of a database of these kind of tips and tricks, because I think most of us are struggling. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.